Welcome to a new episode of Cool Girls Create. It's your host, Tanisha Westbrook, and I am here with the very special guest. This is someone who has literally changed the trajectory of my life, I feel, uh, since the time I was a teenager, 16 years old. So I'm excited to get this conversation going. Let's welcome Tameka Townes.
Hello. Hi, T. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Yay, I'm excited too. Okay, so before we get into this whole conversation, I want to point out that we'll be discussing artistry today, we'll be discussing creativity, and we'll be talking about just our personal journeys as we transition throughout our careers as creative women. And we're gonna throw a little bit of education in there because I'm sure Tameka has some things to say about our education system.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. So before we get into the weeds, let's start off with like an icebreaker
Okay.
question. All right. So if you had the chance to talk to any woman, past or present, who would that woman be and what topic would you discuss?
Past and present. I like this. I'm going to go with somebody that I feel like would give me personally something, some nuggets, some life nuggets. So I'm gonna go with Michelle Obama.
Okay.
I think Michelle Obama could give me some real good tips on a journey of womanhood. She she is like, for me personally, somebody who I know I would love to follow in footsteps and hear her say job well done. She's definitely down to earth. Like she doesn't put on any kind of act, or everything she says you take as like hard work. So I would love to sit down with Michelle Obama.
You know what? I respect that. I think Michelle has a certain authenticity to her,
Mm-hmm.
and she's been able to brand, that authenticity. And yeah, we love Michelle Obama.
We,
Okay, so
we
that's
love
good.
Michelle. We love
Yeah.
Michelle. And for other reasons, and I'm sure we're going to touch on today, creativity and
Yes.
education.
Yes. Okay, well, let's get into it. All right. So I want to give the cool girls a little bit more information about your background.
Okay.
So Miss Towns was my art teacher in the 11th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was back then, but currently she is a professional learning community coach. Okay. So in layman's terms, she coaches teachers, right, to be better teachers.
Yes.
And you give me correct me if I'm wrong on this, but
No, that's actually right. That is correct. I'm pretty much the center point of school. When you think of students, the relationships with their teachers, instruction, how they deliver, assessment, Title I, which is pretty much funding. So yeah.
okay. Well, see, this is going to be a good conversation because I don't get to talk often about the education system. But
Mm-hmm.
before we get there, I do want to touch a little bit on just like your background and how you grew up. So,
Oh.
if you don't know, I went to high school in Memphis,
Mm-hmm.
Tresvant High School, and Miss Towns is from Kentucky
Yeah.
and grew up in Memphis. So just
Yes.
talk to me a little bit about your experience. How was it growing up in Kentucky and Memphis?
So I'm gonna be real honest. I don't remember much because I was little. My parents were in the army. They were in the army. So a lot of my memory from that is pictures. So it definitely looked not city. There was no cityscape. Um, Cold. Um, and then I was by myself, right? So we moved here
As an
around,
only
I would
child?
say, at that time,
Okay.
at that time. And then we moved here around, maybe I was around 2 or 3. And then my brother came along. So my whole dynamics of childhood changed from being the single, the only child in this pretty much always, like I pretty much was isolated on an army base, you know what I'm saying? To being in this city of Memphis with a little brother. And we were attached at the hip until I left for college. So my whole childhood has been, my best friend was my brother.
Wow. You
Mm-hmm.
know, my sister and well, I have other siblings, y'all. I'm the oldest of like it's like 5 of us, okay? But
Okay.
the
Like that's
sister
new
that
to me because I know.
well, right. Well, I am a child of a divorced family, is what I like to say.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have siblings on my mom's side, siblings on my dad's side,
Okay.
and so that's how that goes. But, growing up when my parents were together,
Mm-hmm.
for the first 10, 11 years of my life, my sister was my best friend because we were 11 months apart.
Yep.
So now it's
We
starting
thought
to
we thought y'all were the Crump twins.
we were not twins, okay? So I could definitely relate to just having that friendship growing up, and I'm curious to know how those dynamics changed as you all grew older, because
Mm-hmm.
my sister and our identities were tied so closely together for so long that
Mm-hmm.
in our 20s we kind of separated and
Mm-hmm.
did our own thing,
Mm-hmm.
different
Mm-hmm.
personalities, different
Mm-hmm.
all the things. So
Yep.
was it similar?
Yes. Yes. The story is very similar. Like we literally branched off and walked 2 separate journeys. Um, but we talk, you talk, you catch up, you have those moments of childhood and nostalgia. You know what I'm saying? You get
Mhm.
together, especially holidays. And you get to be those little siblings together. But yeah, we definitely branched off and went our separate ways.
Okay. Well, I want to get a little bit deeper into your journey and
Mm-hmm.
discuss this quote. So, you recently said that art saved your life.
Mm-hmm. It did.
So, I want you to share your experience with that and
Mm-hmm.
specifically talk about what was happening in high school,
Mm-hmm.
because for me, high school was extremely pivotal when it came to just my mindset and
Right.
viewpoint.
Right.
So, what was your experience?
Um, I definitely agree that high school for me, pretty much almost started my journey. I don't remember much before high school. So when I was in ninth grade, one of my very, 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 very close friends passed away just like overnight. Like we're on the phone, we're talking. He says, "I'm gonna call you right back." That was it. And from that, I went into like this hole where I did not want to talk, communicate. Some days I didn't even know what day of the week it was. And so when I went to school, because we went to school together, right? All I could see was him.
Mm,
Hallways, lunch, because this is my friend. Like we rode the bus to school together. We had lunch together. We left, so it was very much so an outer body experience. So as a result, my grades dropped. I had no interest in school. I didn't want to go. I had to go. But I had a teacher, and Mr. Berlin, shout out. So Mr. Berlin literally pulled me out of the class and told me that he heard that I had a talent and he wanted to put me in this particular class under him. And again, out of mind, out of body. I'm kind of looking at him like, sure, whatever. So I go to class. It's an art class. It's an AP art class. And from that class, I literally found a purpose. It had nothing to do with counseling. For me, it was the moment when I realized that art could be my communication tool because I wasn't talking. I literally was not having conversations with my family. my friends. And so I started using art as an outlet. My sketchbook was my diary. And so from that point, he literally nurtured me into looking at college applications. Because I forgot. It was almost like when I leave here, I get to go back home and get back in the bed. So I literally had forgot that high school, I'm supposed to leave here, graduate, and go to college. He reminded me of that every single day. He poured so much into me that I remember the day that I won like this prestigious award. And I was looking around like, me? And he was like, I told you you had it, but I wanted you to find it. So from that, I blossomed, but I appreciated my gift and my talent. I tell people all the time, I'm the highly favored that those two talk to each other, my gifts and my passion, because a lot of people they don't get it. They don't get to use their gifts and still feel passionate about it every day. And so it kicked off my journey. I went to college, majored in art. From that, got into different disciplines and different medias. Found my love for photography, which we'll talk about. Found my love for abstract art. And here I am today, still doing it. So I tell people every day, art saved my life. If that art class and that art teacher did not come into my life at that point, I don't know where I would be.
Mm.
I think my whole trajectory would have changed.
Yeah. That's a powerful story. And to be candid, that's the way I feel about you.
Mm,
I didn't experience loss in that way.
mm-hmm,
So I definitely can empathize with your experience, but I didn't experience loss at that time in that way. But
mm-hmm,
what I did experience was moving from Chicago to Memphis, my parents being together for my entire
mm-hmm,
life, and then suddenly they're not, and
mm-hmm.
moving it into an environment that was
Can we find the word? Can we find the word?
yeah, I was in North Memphis, shawty. Okay, I was in North Memphis,
Yeah,
Fraser. Okay,
it was
so
different
it was
with a
very different.
capital D.
It was very different with a
Mm-hmm,
capital D. And
mm-hmm,
so when I met you in high school, I had already been suspended multiple times from school. I had already been in tons of fights. I had already been to the juvenile detention center.
mm-hmm.
Um, and so I didn't really have any outlets, but I knew that I was creative. I don't even know if creative was in my vocabulary or
And you
art
know
was
what?
in
I
my
think about it.
vocabulary when I
I
met
don't
you.
think I don't think that you knew. I don't think you knew then at all. Because I think about when we met, right? And I know it sparked. I remember us talking for hours, like just hours.
I would just come and sit in your classroom.
Yes. But think about all the things that we created. We had an organization, we had a dance team.
Yes.
Like it was like we would have a conversation and immediately we created a plan. We went and recruited people.
Yes.
Like we were very much so together in sync. And so I don't even think that I saw myself in you until you went to college.
Really? Because
Mm-hmm.
because
And you became my
no.
protege. You was the first person I started. This is my protege.
Oh,
Like I'm so serious. I think I even started putting it on your recommendations, like my protege, because when we first met, I think both of us were very much so in a different place at a different time because it was a different time for me. That was my first year teaching, and
mm-hmm.
we've had this conversation about first year teaching. Like nobody tells you there's no book. Like there's some books, but they don't teach you how to teach in a city.
Right. I was gonna say let's like give them context. Like it's not just
Mm-hmm.
about teaching, it's about teaching in the environment that we were in.
Correct, correct. And so together, we literally were able to build spaces for creativity. So we had dance, We had the art class, which turned into like after school art club. Um, we ended up. Do you remember that performance we did? Oh gosh, I wish somebody had recorded it. But we built everything out of cardboard, and you and Stephanie did the choreography. Do you remember that? Like
Wait
we
a minute.
literally put together like a mini show.
With cardboard? See, now you
Yes.
see.
And classmates, like people in my class, my visual arts class, made all of the props for you all. Y'all name the song is in the top of my head, but y'all dance.
Was
And
it
we did like
Survivor?
not Survivor. We did like the day. Remember, it was like morning and then it went to afternoon. Y'all had
Oh my
umbrellas.
gosh. Okay, I'm gonna have to call Stephanie after this to figure it out because I remember Survivor. Do you remember
On the
Survivor?
tip. I remember Survivor. That was on like a backtrack. Was that on a backtrack?
Yeah, that was like a
Okay,
backtrack.
okay.
Right, but we
Yeah,
had like the costumes and the
we
whole thing.
did.
So,
We were
yes,
fashion
so
designers.
we see, and this is why it's so important for me to have this conversation with you because it leads to the next part of this conversation, which is about
Mm-hmm.
the youth
Mm-hmm.
and how important it is to pour into the youth,
Absolutely.
especially like as you continue to grow and matriculate as an adult. And
Mm-hmm.
it seems like, the youth gets further and further away, but literally you were someone in my life. And think about it, because we talked about this. We only spent what 2 years together
Right. Right. It
before I
felt
went off
like,
to college.
yeah, it felt like six, but yeah.
Yes, but it was something that I will never forget. And now that you're saying that, I'm like, okay, this is where I started to learn leadership skills and like inspiring people and bringing people in.
Mm-hmm.
I started learning those things from you.
Yeah. Like organizing. I mean, logistics. Like
Look, I've
we
been doing this
literally
for 30 years, y'all.
you have. You really have. I mean, but it was literally just the two of us.
Hmm.
And nobody questioned us, I think, because we were so confident in what we envisioned the output looking like. So I remember in practices, you would stand back and look at me, and I'd be like, do it again.
Run it
Because that's
again.
not how, right, that's not how we saw it in the end point. And we would, I mean, yeah, we spent some time.
We spent some time together and I'll
We
never
spent some
forget it. And
time.
I'm so honored that you called me your protege. So
Yes,
like now
absolutely.
I gotta live up to it, y'all. Okay,
You
so
have you have surpassed all of my expectations.
thank
Surpassed.
you so much. Because you mentioned like when I went to college and I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking about my college experience, and I don't share this often, but I struggled. I struggled horrendously. I lost my financial aid at one point. I got kicked out of TSU at one point. I was working part-time jobs, trying to figure out what I was going to do, living in my boyfriend house at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just, I
Yep.
had no clue how to matriculate through
Mm-hmm.
college.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
think you helped me with that foundation
Mm-hmm.
of, being able to persevere and being a leader
Right.
and figuring it out.
Yeah.
So
I remember when you made the leap,
the leap.
when you jumped your career, when you left the ordinary 8 to 5, 9 to 5.
What you remember about it?
I just remember you like you reached out to me and we had like a small little chat about it. And I was just like in the back of my mind, go do it, do it, do it. But at the same time as the adult in this conversation, I'm listening, right? And I'm making sure that you check off all these things. But I remember when you made that decision, like, I got to, like, I have to. And I'm okay with the struggle. I remember that point when we got off the phone. Like you were like, I'm okay if I have to struggle, but I cannot do this anymore. And I was like,
Wow. Y'all, this was like 6 years ago, something like that. I've been full time for 6 years now.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But it's just amazing to me to hear that determination
yeah,
in my thought process because
yeah,
y'all, it is not sweet. Okay. You got to be okay with the struggle for a little while until you can
mm-hmm,
figure it out. But I want to switch gears and talk a little bit more about I want to talk a little bit about teaching,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And the education system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, from I believe that Black youth,
Mm-hmm.
Black high school students, middle school students, they face a number of challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
But from your perspective, what do you think the top challenges are,
Mm-hmm.
and whether that's from the student perspective or, the school system
Mm-hmm.
lens?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the top challenges are?
So I'm going to give my disclaimer at this point. All of these words that are coming out of my mouth are my personal opinion. They do not represent my organization in no way, fashion, or form. But one, there is a huge disconnect between our youth and education when it comes to values. They do not value education. There are so many distractions that for them, why do I need to do this? It's
Mm.
the why. Um, and I remember when I was in middle school, yeah, I was kind of like, why I gotta go to school every day? Why? But I also had people in my life who told me why. They told me why until I found out. And I don't know if that's happening anymore. I don't know if we have these conversations with our youth when they come home. Like, what you do today? How was school today? So, what did you learn? What are you gonna do with it? Like we didn't have those conversations. I tell people all
Who
the
are the
time.
parents now? Just for context, like, are the
You talking about the
millennials the parents?
generation? Okay,
Yeah,
we talking
like,
about generation. So this would be because you are generation.
I'm a millennial. I was born in
You're
90s.
millennials. Something. Yes, these might be millennials.
I was about to say, because the millennials out here, we basically were we wanted to rebel against everything.
Okay, now
So
here
that
we
might
go.
be what's happening.
You might be giving me some insight because I tell people all the time, what happened to that question of what do you want to be when you grow up? Nobody asks youth that anymore. And when they hear it, they're kind of looking at you like, what I want to do when I grow up, make money.
Hmm.
But we didn't do that. Like I remember being asked that, and I remember saying crazy stuff. I want to be a princess, an astronaut. I tell people all the time, I actually used to say teacher, but I said teacher because everybody else was saying teacher. My journey to getting into education is totally different. I tell people I'm a non-traditional teacher. I did not want to be a teacher.
So how we get here then?
I wanted to be an artist. That's what I wanted to do. And I tried. I tried. But starving artists did not speak to my heart
That wasn't
during
your
my
ministry.
20s. Was not. It wasn't in my ministry during my 20s because I had a baby. So I could not go through that. And a lot of real, especially I call them gritty artists, they talk about their starving artist philosophy and how I couldn't do it.
So when you
So
say artistry, are you talking about visual arts,
all of
drawing, photography? You just
all of it, even
artistry.
musicians, yes,
Oh, okay.
like the ones who are gritty, like all their life, they walk this journey and they never detoured, right? They will give you these pockets of information of when they were homeless, eating out of cereal boxes. And I'm like, you did that for real? I didn't. I didn't do it. But I always knew that art was where I was supposed to be because of my gifts and my passion. Um, and come to find out, it developed into art is more than drawing, dancing, because I ended up investing in education. And I found out, and people will tell you, I'm an advocate for people understanding the necessity for art for youth because it speaks a different language to our students. Kids don't go to school for English and math. That is not a common language to them. Common language to them is rapping, beating on the table,
Mm-hmm.
right? Doodling. Think about it's natural for them to do those things. And when we take out art education, we take out a natural, right? That's a natural reaction to how they're feeling. We take that away from them. And then you put them in a box and they look like, I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand why that A go ah. So for me, art education is way more, and it has to be appreciated. It has to be appreciated. It cannot be an extracurricular. It can't be a high, it can't be a craft.
Mm-hmm.
It's a language, and it needs to be embedded and considered for all disciplines. Because when students do it, magic happens. It's a connector.
Right. And it goes back to what you were saying about being able to tap into your gifts and
Mm-hmm.
be passionate about it. Because whether you pursue a music career, artist career,
Mm-hmm.
corporate America, teaching, my case entrepreneurship, for me, I had to go through a journey of rediscovering the things that are inside of me as far as my gifts
Mm-hmm.
and what God wants me to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so either way it goes, you're gonna have to go back to the drawing board when it comes to that. So I agree. I don't know why art creativity is
Mm-hmm.
not something that's cultivated when you're younger
Right.
these days. And
Right.
now, and we get treated the worst, right? But we make everything happen. We
Absolutely.
get
But I'm gonna
paid
tell
the
you,
least,
pay the least.
treated the worst,
We are the
and
biggest sector,
relied upon the
but
most.
we are the biggest job sector. Like right now in 2024, the creative sector is one of the largest job sectors. So again, why would you neglect the arts? They connect everything. It makes sense to students when you add in the arts. I love the fact that you separate art and creativity because I learned that when I started studying education. Those are two different things. Creativity, that right there is the umbrella. Art is just a piece of that pie. But creativity can branch into, think about everything, even car designs, publications. Um, I tell people all the time, even in the justice system, somebody is thinking about the color of that room. You don't walk into a courtroom and it's green, blue, like
Bright
there's a
red.
there's a psychology of colors that somebody paid attention to. When it comes to restaurants, catering, being an entrepreneur, there is creativity around us every single day.
Hell, city designs. The what? Okay.
But we separate, like when we hear creativity, we immediately go to art, dance, and I'm like, y'all, don't do that because
It's a way of
creativity,
life.
absolutely, absolutely.
It's a way of
So
life.
if I had one word for education, creativity. Like it has to be a concept that is threaded between all of our curriculum and standards because we might actually get better results.
That is true. So we over here advocating, y'all. And
We
I
are.
I preach
We're
about
fighting for it.
creativity, especially in branding and marketing and sales,
Mhm,
because people just get so caught up in thinking one way or following trends and not really
mhm,
thinking outside of the box. So
mhm.
um I want to switch gears and will go back and talk a little bit more about creativity, but I want to talk more about your personal journey.
Okay.
Um we mentioned your journey in your 20s, but I want
Mhm.
to go a little bit deeper. Is there any are there any lessons that you learned in your 20s and 30s that really shaped your mindset when it comes to womanhood and just
Mm,
being a creative woman?
mm-hmm. Absolutely. Um, I tell people all the time, everybody has a superpower. And I did not realize my superpower of being a person that loves people. Like I believe in the power of people. Nobody ever told me that that could be a skill set. So I had to learn that as I got older and matriculated through my journey. Um, you'll be amazed at what you can get somebody to do. I don't want to say like I manipulate, but get somebody to do or believe when you give the power to the people. I can say that. Like you have to know how to appreciate the people who are doing the work versus the people who write the work.
Ooh, it's you know what it is? I like to say empowering people, but also understanding the human experience. And
I like that.
if you can tap into
Mhm.
really being empathetic to the human experience with the people around you, whether that's coworkers or
Right.
your staff or students,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that's what you tapped into with me back in the day.
Right.
But yeah, I agree.
But everybody has one. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it takes you stepping outside of yourself to observe, to tell somebody what their superpower is, because they might not know. So people remember that. People remember when you tell them that I noticed that you have a really good skill of whatever it may be. I'm gonna hold on to that until I discover for myself what mine is, right? You might stem it. So somebody might say, "Oh, you're so talented." Okay, I'm talented. I'm talented. But until I realize, oh, my talent is specifically, interpersonal skills or logistics. I'm not gonna know that until I experience it. But you sparked something when you told me that I was talented. Because other than that, how am I different? And
Mm-hmm.
what am I doing? And what am I doing? Right? Like a
Right.
lot of people get lost in the what am I doing until you tell them, hey, you're really, really good at talking to people.
Well, that's because we discount what makes us special because
Mm,
we can't really see how different it is because everybody is truly individual, right?
absolutely.
But it took me a long time to figure out what my superpowers are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I I really believe that a lot of people struggle with it, especially
Mm-hmm.
women.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you really do need that lens. Like I remember maybe 2 years ago, I was having lunch with someone and they pointed out that they could tell that I was very analytical and data driven.
Okay.
And it took me aback, right? Because my corporate career was corporate finance,
Mm-hmm.
accounting,
Numbers.
right?
Right.
Numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been an entrepreneur so long moving around in the creative space that people don't necessarily associate the back office work
Mm-hmm.
with what I'm actually doing,
Gotcha.
right? So I
Right.
know this, but to see somebody else call it out based on a conversation that we were having, it
Mm-hmm.
really made me feel more confident about like, oh yeah, this is a superpower. I should lean into this.
Absolutely. And you know what? Since we're on this topic of, the journey as a woman, right? Sometimes I think I don't want to say living in a man's world because it's really a woman's world, but we can kind of get pushed to the back. We can
Kind
get
of
pushed to
big push to the back.
we get pushed, we get told to go to the back, right? And so it takes either your superpower to make you be seen, make you be heard, or make you be appreciated.
Mm,
So I always tell, especially young girls, like really, really early, that like you are somebody. Like you can start with that, even if I don't really know you, right? Because I think girls, and then when we become women, we begin to like we become quiet. We go to the back. We think it, but we don't say it.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And then we go home and we go call somebody and tell them, oh, somebody else.
And this happened, and they said this, and saying all the stuff that we wanted to say to advocate
Mm-hmm.
for ourselves, but we didn't
Absolutely.
have the courage to do it.
Right.
Man, the
So
conditioning is crazy.
voice is a huge thing for women. Voice
Ooh.
is a huge thing for women. Huge, huge. And I'm about to steer us into something. Social media is not our voice. It's not.
Ooh.
Social media is not the voice for women. Like, if I could get young girls to understand what social media is, it is the purpose of it is not of anything substantial, right? Because I can go in there and create a whole nother identity. I can live in, I can, with AI, I can make myself look like anybody I want to look like. So social media is definitely playing a part on the identity of women.
Wow. Do you mean from okay, so from, I'm glad that you brought that up because you have people who use social media,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have people like myself who I'm on social media, but I understand the impact of what it is and what it's really made for. So for
Absolutely.
people who might not grasp what she's saying, social media is literally a platform for companies to advertise to you. Okay.
Yep.
You are not paying you. So think about it like this. When you're on social media, you might not be spending your money, but you're
Right.
spending your time and your eyeballs, right?
Absolutely.
And so the things that are on there are not for the betterment of yourself. They're
No.
not to pour into you. There might be some people on the platform with that mission,
Correct.
but it's not a real place,
It's not.
right? It's all
It's not.
contrived.
It's
And the purpose is not to serve you. It's to
no.
get those dollars and those
Right. Right.
right?
It's a great idea, right? Business wise, social media is a great idea. But when it comes to identity,
Mhm.
think about how many people get lost in social media every single day. Like I tell people, one of my things actually, this is in a lot of books that talk about like self care. The first thing they tell you to do is not log into social media the first 4 to 6 hours of your day.
Yes.
There's a reason for this. There's a reason for that because it will literally change your whole thinking. Like you can ruin your whole day by getting on social media and seeing something and it can trigger you,
Right.
you
Could,
know?
yep, that could be just for me. I don't know if other people relate to this, but I don't necessarily compare lifestyles. I'm not trying to live the soft girl life and compare
Mm-hmm.
or, the luxury black girl life, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, but I'm very ambitious. And
Mm-hmm.
so I can get on social media and see people working, see people winning, see
Right.
people
Right.
mastering their craft. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, what did I do today? Did I do enough today? Oh, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
think of that.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do that too.
Right.
And then before you know it, you spent the whole day, like you said, focusing on something that's not important, changing the direction of what you're supposed to be doing, doubting
Distraction.
yourself, beating yourself up,
Right.
trying to be somebody that you're not.
Thinking about your relationship.
Oh Lord, thinking about your relationship.
I
Like what
said,
this man ain't where is my I didn't see my gift. Where is my trip?
when we going on my vacation? Like,
And I
I
can
tell people all the
imagine
time, you
how,
want the worst advice? Go to social media.
yeah, I can't imagine what that's like for young girls, you
Mm,
know?
there we
I
go.
can't imagine.
They
So,
don't know who they are.
oh, and it's like the most pivotal, it's like the time where you're really truly figuring out from a foundation standpoint who you
Mm-hmm,
are, what you stand for.
mm-hmm,
I want to talk a little bit about managing your creative block when that happens.
mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So, a lot of people that I've come into contact with, or when I'm coaching or just um pouring into other creatives or people who don't think that they're creative,
mm-hmm,
they are trying to figure out how to get the creativity going, or they're
mm-hmm,
trying to manage getting through creative blocks.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, what has been your experience with having a creative block and how did you get out of it?
So I guess this would take another path in who I am. So I am still an artist. I do abstract art as well as photography. So I can personally relate to creative blocks. For me, it's usually when I cannot be myself, if that makes sense. So, like when I come to work, my 9 to 5, I'm not my creative alter ego. So, I have to turn off one part of my brain
Mm-hmm.
to welcome the next.
Does your alter ego have a name?
Tameka Town.
Tameka Townes. Okay, mine is
Yeah.
Violet.
Okay. So Tam, and some people just call me Tam, but they
Tam.
know Tameka Town. And she is totally opposite from my 9 to 5, Tameka, right? But I have to find like a moment of, usually it's music for me. I have my playlist that can switch my gears real quick.
What's on your playlist?
Ooh, okay. When I'm going into my zone, probably a little money bag.
Little money bag, yo.
Money bag gets me. Money bag gets me going. My confidence get a little boosted.
Yeah, you get the rapper energy, the big rapper
Yeah,
vibe. You know.
I really feel confident
She
when
said
I'm
Dr.
listening to
T,
money.
Dr. Towns. Don't play with it. I forgot to let y'all know though, y'all. Like for real, for real. Like she's a doctor too.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, yes.
All right.
I got my doctorate. And I did that for a reason because of this journey and being a woman
Talk
and
about it.
being pushed to the back. Because I started off my education career as an art teacher. A lot of people didn't think that I could teach. I'm just gonna say it. They didn't think I could teach. And so when I became instructionally sound, it broke down the barrier of what I was teaching. And so from that, it pushed me into being able to do educational research, which led me into getting my doctorate. Yes. So
So
You
inspiring.
can Google me.
Period. Google me. Google me. So okay, so money bag yo gets you into the
Yes.
zone.
Uh-huh. And again, I think it is the alter ego, right? It's the confidence. Um, if when I start to work though, I cannot listen to Moneybag. Let
You
me
gotta have
give that disclaimer.
some jazz or
I
something.
have to go down. And usually that playlist, I like Anthony Hamilton. Anthony Hamilton can put me into a vibe where I lose track of the day.
Wow.
Yes. I don't know what it is about Anthony Hamilton, but you give me an Anthony Hamilton playlist, I'm going to create. So I think you have to find what speaks to you outside of you. Because,
I gotta play some Beyonce, some Nicki
see,
Minaj,
there you
you
go.
know, some of these girl rappers out here who be talking big money stuff.
It's
Gotta
that
put on that
confidence, though. It's the confidence.
for sure.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about mistakes. Are there any look, we done made plenty of them. Are there any mistakes that stand out to you that you have made or you've seen other women make when it comes to pursuing your passion, or just matriculating as a young woman?
So I think the biggest mistake is being stereotyped. Um, when somebody tells, this is one of my favorite ones. Like you're pretty for a brown skinned girl, things like that, right? Because then you're kind of like, wait, am I pretty or am I just pretty amongst the brown, like the dark girls? Um, Another mistake was definitely letting other people tell me my direction. So thinking that a professor or a dean, somebody who was, I don't want to say higher than me, right? Knows more than me.
Well,
So,
from a authority figure, professors and deans, they do have
mm-hmm,
that.
right? That comes with it, right? But you learn later that some of them don't believe that themselves. They don't look at themselves as being an authoritative figure over you. They might give you guidance, but there's something about what we do when we're in the presence of those people. So I think always walking into a room thinking that everybody is equal was something that I had to learn versus walking into a room and I have to do this. I'm a follower. I have to wait for them to tell me.
Or
That was a
just
huge mistake for me.
That's I'm so glad that you brought that up. That is a bar because I was having a conversation with one of my mentors, and basically the conversation went to when you are intimidated by other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I was telling her back in the day when we first met, because she's a prominent woman,
Mm-hmm.
and when we first met, I was extremely intimidated by her,
Intimidated.
but I was intimidated when I walked into rooms and it was a bunch of white corporate people
Mm-hmm.
or just women that were, in my eyes, more prestigious, more seasoned,
Mm-hmm.
more further into their careers. And so it was always this intimidation factor within me.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't that way now because I've
Right.
learned what you said, that everybody is on the same playing field. But her response to that was that, girl, you better not let anybody intimidate you. How you gonna go get $1 million contracts or, work with these businesses or whatever it is that you want to do? And you walk in a room and they might say, well, this person they kind of mean, or they're kind of,
Right.
you just gonna run away? Like,
Oh,
no.
you're not.
Yeah. And I find that when you are networking or building
Mm-hmm.
relationships with people, it's so much easier to connect if you come in from a place of we're on the same playing field,
Mm-hmm.
and it just allows for, I don't know.
Collaboration.
Yeah, it allows you to feel more confident too.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
appreciate you for saying that.
You can't collaborate when you feel like you're less. That's not collaboration. That's not even a partnership.
That's being a flunky or something.
Yeah, that's the go over there. That's that mentality. Go over there and get it or fetch. Like, no, no. So I think definitely walking into a room and we're all on the same playing field gives you room to share because you're invited to that room for a reason. You're invited to that room for a reason. So even if I do have all of these accolades and experience, when you walk into the room, there's something about you that is important. I can still learn from you, regardless of your journey starting 15 years, 20 years after me. Times change. It's 2024. You had to tell me about my lights today. Like, you have you have to be open to the experience
Well,
of
look,
learning from other people.
We can't get together because we just be cracking up. But can okay, because we got a couple of more minutes, y'all. So I gotta ask one more question that you made me
Okay.
think of, and then we're gonna do like a quick fire round, and I want you to close us out with the final word for creative women.
Okay.
So this is the what are your thoughts on women who are they may be more seasoned, they might be a little bit more older, mature,
Hmm.
further in their career. A lot of times I find that when I'm connecting with women that
Hmm.
are in that stage in their life, it's not always an authentic connection. Sometimes it feels as if they are saying, "Hey, little girl, go stay over there. I can't learn anything from you." And other times it
Hmm.
feels like I'm in a competition that I didn't know about.
Mm.
Does that
Mm.
make sense?
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? Have you experienced this or do you know what I'm talking about?
Look, here we go again. Disclaimer, but it's very very odd to me that you and I have such similar stories. But yes, I immediately thought about competition. Um, and I don't know where that comes from. So from this conversation though, I'm going back to like that idea of coming into a room and we're equal. Because it should not be a competition if I'm invited.
But
Or
people do feel threatened.
they do. And there's enough out here for all of us. So it's almost like, do you think I'm going to take your spot? And if I do take your spot, was it your spot? Was it time for you to move somewhere else? Are we supposed to be in this spot together? But I think it's all in how you look at it. And I do want to say, we got to do better. We got to do better. And it's not just women. We got to do better as African Americans. We got to do better as a city. Speaking from Memphis, like we just have to do better.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let's get into some rapid fire questions. This
Okay,
is gonna
rapid
be
fire.
fun.
Okay,
Don't think too hard. Okay,
okay.
so
First
here
thing
we
that
go.
comes to my mind.
First thing that comes to your mind. Here we go.
Okay.
Your favorite travel destination you've been to?
Ooh, um, Phoenix,
Phoenix?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, I want to go. I've heard it's so beautiful
Beautiful,
and serene.
beautiful. I literally did a sabbatical there, detached from social media, work, and it was the best place and trip ever.
Okay.
Phoenix.
Top three things on your bucket list.
Woo! To go to Paris. I know that sounds like nothing to some people, but that's a big deal to me to go to Paris. I wouldn't mind skydiving.
Well, that's been on my bucket list. I said I was gonna do it in the next 2 years. And
Okay.
I don't know because, you know, somebody said I was listening to a sermon one day, and somebody said that you don't need to be playing with God, jumping out of plane. And I really took that I took that to heart because I was like, I don't want to play with
No,
God.
we don't. We don't want
But
to play
I've
with God.
right, but I've heard it's such a freeing
Yeah.
experience.
So maybe skydiving slash zip lining. Let's put that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And one more thing. I wouldn't mind one day either participating or leading some kind of artistic showcase that, yeah, but I want it to be huge. I don't want it to be just me. So, I think that's definitely on my bucket list to organize and facilitate something like that.
Okay, so what is your favorite guilty pleasure TV show?
Oh, guilty pleasure TV show. Is it Queen's Court? Oh no, no, Tamar and Vince.
What?
So here we go. This is something that I don't tell people, so
No,
I'm
but
gonna share.
it was
I
good.
love Tamar.
You you would love Tamar.
I love Tamar Braxton. It is for nothing that is positive, really. Like it's just
I love Tamar too, especially when she was on the real. But
yes,
but
I
yes,
love.
okay, Tamar
I
invents.
don't tell
I
everybody
actually
that, but I think I just told everybody. But yeah,
well,
Tamar.
it was a good TV show. It was. Okay,
Oh,
last rapid
okay,
last rapid fire question.
okay.
What is the one thing that you can't live without in your daily routine?
Music every day, and I do different genres, but music every day.
I agree. I
Mm-hmm.
agree. I have a grateful playlist with like all
Mm,
my good church
hmm.
songs on there.
Right,
Start
I
off my
have a
day
gospel.
with some
It's so
gratitude, you know.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna wrap this conversation up. And before we do though,
Mm-hmm.
I would like a final word from
Okay.
Dr. Townes. Okay. Um, Speaking to our cool girls, the creative women in the audience who are on this journey of
Mm-hmm.
trying to monetize their passion, they're trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out their gifts, trying to
Mm-hmm.
balance being all the things, but
Mm-hmm.
still wearing the cape.
Mm-hmm.
What is your final word of wisdom?
So I'm definitely going to stay with something that we talked about today, which is voice. So find your voice, use your voice, and sing. Like that right there in a nutshell for me is like that's it. You do those three things, you're destined to find your gift, find your skills, live the best life with not that many mistakes because mistakes are good things. I think a lot of times we are taught that mistakes are bad. For women, especially women, mistakes are fine. It's a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone. Step on it and move on. Step on it and move on. But definitely find your voice, use it, and sing.
I know that's right.
Sing loud.
Sing loud, y'all. I love it. I love this episode. Okay, so that is the final word from my very special guest. Uh, I'm her protege, y'all.
That's right.
Dr. Town.
You're gonna see us together very soon.
Yay! Yes, yes, yes. So, so glad to have you come onto this platform. Please come back again
It's my
because
pleasure.
you can
My
see
pleasure.
it was a key. Um, T Westbrook, Dr. Towns, signing out. See y'all later, cool girls.
Bye.
Bye bye.